First of all, we want to say thank you for having us. My name is Macy Ward.
My name is Tanner Armstrong.
And my name is Zion Smalls. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zion Smalls. I'm the journalist here at Leaders to Be. This is our team manager, Macy, and our researcher, Tanner. Today, we will be discussing the ethical issue of pressuring students to go to college and basically discussing the solutions and ramifications of fixing this problem that has plagued our education system for many years. Throughout the many years, it has been seen that the value of a degree has decreased. This is because unlike how it has been in the past, it is seen that a degree, although it does have some value, the level of opportunity created by achieving this level of education has decreased. However, one thing that can be noticed is that although the value of a degree has decreased, the pressure to go to college has still not changed. It is seen throughout our education system that many students are told that college is almost the only option in order to achieve success, and any other option other than going to college is often frowned upon. When it comes to the pressures of going to college, there are many stakeholders. The first stakeholder would have to be the school board. Although the school board is not 100% responsible for the pressures of students going to college, it can be seen that they are definitely partially responsible. This is because throughout the education system from K through 12, it is seen that oftentimes students are taught by their school board models as well as teachers that college is the only option. It is thought that after high school, which is 12th grade, it is thought that many students are supposed to immediately go to college, and any other option is almost seen to be a unlikely option, or option that will lead to no success. Another stakeholder would have to be parents. This is because on top of the fact that the parents are usually people that have went to college or haven't went to college, they have also experienced the same level of education from the school board. So they are almost teaching their students the same things that they were taught. Also, if the parent did not go to college, it can be seen that many times they will somewhat encourage students to achieve what they didn't achieve, making it college the only option for students. Of course, the students are also affected, as many students growing up in the high school and middle school environment, they're taught that they should not do anything but go to college. And oftentimes these students don't really know of any other options other than to go to college after finishing middle school and high school. Next, I will be passing it to Macy, and she'll be explaining our main issue.
Now jumping into our main issue, we have concluded that the school board pressures students to go to college, giving them the incentive that this is the only way to be successful. We, the leaders to be, feel very strongly, urgently, and confidently about this issue because us daily, we see and conquer how this issue affects our peers and even our mentors. In today's society, mental health is a rising issue, and when we put the pressure of attending college on top of that, it sometimes may end catastrophically. We, the leaders to be, want to bring awareness to this issue while reminding all that success is built within each student, not through a college diploma. Another issue that goes in hand with our main issue is that students in high school are not getting adequate information. Whether it may be a guidance counselor or a teacher persuading a student that one bad test grade can deter a student from getting into their dream college that they had pursued since freshman year. Parents also have negative effects within this issue because there's often a stigma that if you stay at home with your parents a few more years and avoid college, you can turn out to be unsuccessful. And our issue number 2 is that our culture insists on starting a degree at 18. After 12 years of schooling, whether it's middle school, high school, elementary, a lot of 18-year-olds can be burnt out mentally or physically. When I say this, I simply mean that at the age of 18, brains are not fully developed and matureness is not yet to peak. Those that are 18 years old still have a lot to figure out as far as their incentives and their meanings to life. Issue number 3 will focus on how gap years are frowned upon. Currently, there are around 20 million students enrolled in college, but compared to that, about 44 million borrowers owe a collective $1.4 trillion in debt. Yet those young adults that are pressured to risk their finances and current stability are often viewed as unmotivated and/or lazy. A gap year offers one to recharge and to focus, but allows them to learn more about themselves within the time frame. And now Tanner will introduce our 3 solutions.
So there are many solutions or recommendations that could be possible ways to resolve or help the ethical issue of students being pressured to go to college. The first recommendation that we came up with would be for teachers or schools to remind students that they don't need to go to college in order to succeed. We're not promoting for students to not go to college. That is not what we're trying to say. But we're just saying in high school, students are often confused on what they would like to do for the rest of their lives and career paths. And sometimes all they need is for a teacher to tell them or remind them to not to worry about it and to don't be afraid to fail, because that's how people learn, is through failure. Another recommendation would be for teachers to recommend to students to take a leap year if they don't know what career path they would like to take. Taking a year off would allow the students to figure out what career they would be interested in, as well as not wasting money on a college major that they may choose at random, as well as moving out of their home with their parents and not knowing what to do. The last recommendation we chose was the creation and funding of a program for young students to learn and practice profitable options outside of college. This would create a new perspective to what students and teachers have thought over many years over the idea that students need college in order to succeed. And our first recommendation that we chose was for students to receive adequate information and options on the many career paths that they could take. What we mean by adequate information is information that the students can use on making the decision on what they should expect outside of high school. Students will need to learn about other careers, and it would be great for teachers and students to explain that. Now, so what we're suggesting is a program that has videos and people that work in hundreds of different careers, which gives insight on what they do. We understand that it's not a teacher's job to tell or inform students about every career there is around the world, but we do believe it would be very beneficial for teachers to talk more about exploring and finding out what students like outside of college, which could lead to a future career. If a high school student were to be more educated on potential careers, then they may realize that college is not required for them, or that they may learn another way. Options make students feel like they're not trapped into making one decision, like going to college. Options also relieve stress and anxiety that the pressure of going to college causes. So our second recommendation that we chose to focus on was for teachers to recommend to students to take a leap year or a year off and figure out what they wanted to do. And this also takes the pressure off from students coming out of high school. During the years leading up to graduation, the pressure kind of builds on students through freshman, sophomore, junior year on to make a career decision, even if they don't know what to do. Teachers pushing them towards a college decision needs to remind students that they don't have to make the decision right now. They can wait a year or two and research or even get a job in the career that they're interested in which will ultimately help them figure out if they like that career. There are good things about taking a year off, such as, like I said, the relief of pressure. And also they're not getting into the student debt of going to college. So if they decide to go to college, they can take the time out to learn about other career paths. If a student decides that the job isn't for them, they can just quit and then focus on something that they would much rather do. The third recommendation that we chose was to remind students that we don't need to go to college in order to succeed. Yes, it does give them better opportunities. College does give them better opportunities in some cases, but not all. And we believe that if teachers were to tell students the hardships as well as the good things that could come from college, it would help students make a decision. Because making a decision at the age of 18 is a pretty hard task on what career you would like to take. I mean, we can speak for ourselves, it was a very hard task, but although informing students that college is hard and it can lead them to stress and mental illness, which could turn them away from the manor, it's all facts, and students need the facts in order to make a decision. So we believe that teachers need to tell students the pros and cons of college. And what better way that we thought in doing so was to persuade or ask recent high school alumni like ourselves to come in and speak to students in high school about college. This would give high school students real life tools and predicaments, actions, decisions that we have went through that they might be able to implement into their lives. If teachers remind students that they can take as much time as they want to go to college, then that would put a relief and take the pressure off students to go to college right away. Teachers could even tell success stories about people who didn't go to college or even dropped out, such as Elon Musk. So what we propose of our recommendation is the creation and funding of a curriculum for young students to learn and practice profitable options outside of college is a great option, and it would introduce a new perspective to the young mind that hasn't really been given in previous generations. Oftentimes, many students believe that college is the only option, and this belief is partially due to the fact that these students have never learned any other way to be successful. However, if students were to learn at a young age that there are other options to learn, that this would allow students to make their own choice rather than to believe that they only have one option, and without that option, they would ultimately fail. College can play a negative toll on students financially, mentally, and more. Yet many students are unaware of this or feel as if this would be something that they just have to experience and that it'll just kind of work itself out. Which this is a major problem, as college does not ensure success, such as high school mostly does, but college is just simply another opportunity that is presented to us if we want to take it. If schools were to teach and fund curriculums and clubs that taught other options of success, students would be aware of other opportunities that could be just as life-changing as college.
As Tanner mentioned before, we are not telling students that they shouldn't go to college. However, one thing that we are definitely encouraging is the fact that there should be many options for young students. Now, if this proposed recommendation was to be implemented, one thing that would most likely occur is that less students will be going to college. This is because the whole point of our recommendation is basically to give young adults and young students a choice. So with this choice, it will be expected for young students to be more likely to take other pathways rather than go to college. Another ramification that is most likely to occur is the decrease in mental health issues. Now, when taking many different pathways, it is not for sure that any pathway would be, it's not for sure that a pathway may not have anything that is stressful. However, when it comes to college, there are many different things that could affect the young student. It is said that young college students deal with mostly depression, anxiety, and this could partially come from financial debt and many other things such as classes. Now, it is also said that 1,100 students are committing suicide annually. And it really just shows how devastating college can be for the young student. So I think that with that being said, it's safe to say that if less students are likely to go to college and are making the choice to go where they want to go rather than having no other option, there will be a decrease in mental health as well. With that being said, the pressure to go to college will also decrease as well, because a lot of times it's frowned upon for, as we said before, it's frowned upon for students to not go to college or for them to take a gap year. However, if students are given this time early on, middle school, high school, to basically think of exactly what they want to be going forward and have much more of a plan moving forward, then there would be less stress to go to college and there would be more options available, and the overall confidence of the young students would be increased because they know that even if they don't go to college, they have options that could be just as great as college, which is why it's important for students to know this. To basically sum up what we have been talking about in our presentation here, it's very important for students at a young age to know that there are other options other than college. The pressure for students to go to college is something that they are introduced to at a very young age. Elementary school, middle school, high school, a lot of students are growing up, and the only thing that they are taught is that they are to pursue their education and go to college. Even in my very own school, our motto from middle school and high school was to work hard, go to college, and change the world. Now, we were never giving any building blocks exactly on to how to achieve this goal. However, one thing that I grew up knowing was that I had to go to college. Now, there are many students that are in the same predicament as me, and I'm not saying that college is a bad thing. There are many people that can achieve success through college. However, one thing that we want to make clear is that that is not the only option. When it comes to achieving success, there is no straight line, there is no straight path. There are many different ways that a person can go. We do not want young students to grow up thinking that if they do not go to college, their chances of success are almost impossible. And that's almost the narrative that has been created for many years. We want students to know that even if they don't go to college, there are many options just as great as college, and they can achieve success in many different ways. And now I'll be going to Tanner for one more thing.
And judges, one more thing that we wanted to inform you of before we end this presentation is this is a multi-tool which represents what students have. So obviously this has many different tools used for many different things, and it represents the tools that students could have that represent different career opportunities that schools can give students with the program that we suggest. With this program, students will feel confident in making life and career choices once they graduate from high school.
That is all. Thank you.
Now we'll be taking this time for questions.
Thank you so much. Are you able to hear us?
This back up right here.
Just go to chat.
I've told them to use the call-in number on that they were given on the invite as a way to fix this audio issue, but it seems like it might be something on their end. If everyone else can hear everyone, it seems like it's something on their side.
You can hear me, Les?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I can hear you.
Hear everybody. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a call-in
We're
number.
trying to find the number right now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sorry about the audio again. We're not really sure what.
Okay, we have.
Is it possible that your computer, oh, they can't
I
hear
have the
us?
number. Do I
Just call it.
just off of my phone?
Yeah.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting.
The meeting.
Looks like they're making progress.
Is webinar ID. Can you just?
No, the computer's not on mute. We were checking that.
Take a picture of that. Just gonna try to dial into this.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Yeah, we're turned all the way up. How about now? No. No.
Can you hear us? We can hear you.
272800603. Meeting ID not exist. Please re-enter your meeting ID. Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Is that going to work? Is that good?
You entered 2
No.
0 6
Um,
I think it started too early.
not exist.
what's that? Should I just do switch to phone audio or test
Yes.
speaker? Do you hear a ringtone? Oh, about
I
now.
tried calling it again, just like don't start until it makes it out.
No. Oh. Can you hear us? Can we hear you now?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, we got
So
Yay!
sorry about that inconvenience.
it. Wow. That was
That's,
well,
yeah, no worries. That
Our
happened.
apologies.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Well, thank you. You guys did a great job. But one thing before we go into the Q&A, we need to understand what our role is. Who are you speaking to? We just didn't have a chance to do that before when, we were having the phone issues.
gotcha. Okay, so you guys were representing the school board?
Okay.
Yes.
Of a particular
Of
jurisdiction.
of a New York jurisdiction. Sorry about that. But
Okay.
just of basically any school. No,
Okay.
nothing in particular.
Okay, fabulous. So we're going to put on our New York accents, which are not going to be great. And then the three of us will be asking you questions for the next 20-25 minutes, as if you're the consultants and we're the school board. So
Yes.
Tom or Samra, did one of you want to go ahead and go first?
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Sam. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I wish we could be of more help to you, but as Maria said, no worries. And sorry for my accent.
No, you're
Definitely
okay.
not in New York.
We can understand.
Turkish accent. And as the high school board, our priority is percentage of students enrolled to higher education. So this is a must for our survival,
Right.
because everyone measures our performance with that. So any suggestions?
Well, in that situation right there, I feel like that is one of the problems in itself, because I feel like measuring success of a high school or middle school or any school really being based off of young students going to college, that's kind of where our problem lies, because we're encouraging students to find success. So what does that mean? That for the high school, does that mean that success is only measured through students going to college in itself?
So can you suggest another performance measure for us?
Well, I know that most schools measure success through test scores and overall grades. So I feel like although a student may not go to college in any situation, their overall understanding and their scores based off of like, maybe regents or state tests, however, whatever exam they take, I feel like in that situation, that would be a good measurement because that would be their level of understanding of the curriculum in comparison with other schools throughout the
I would also like to add that what Zion has said, we can also, in comparison, view the dropout rates and the amount of students that do participate in surveys and those that do have to accommodate to deal with mental health and issues upon those lines.
Mhm. Okay. Thanks. Tom, maybe you may continue.
Sure. First of all, I'd like to thank you all, Tana and Maria and Zion, for an excellent presentation. We on the board recognize that one form of education doesn't fit all. And for us, as Maria indicated, the dropout rate or the graduation rate, how many people do succeed in getting through the curriculum in 4 years is a very important measurement for us. I would also say that we as a board define higher education as any education that goes beyond the 4-year high school experience. So we're not about to put people in little boxes and say they must go here, must go there, must do that. One of the questions I had, I want to make sure I heard this correctly. Zion, when you were speaking, you mentioned the value of a college education. Did you say that it had increased, decreased, or stayed the same?
I said that the value of the degree has decreased.
Decreased. Well, I would like your reaction to this. Studies have shown consistently that over the period of a lifetime, the earning potential of a college graduate versus a non-college graduate is anywhere from 1.3 million to 2.4 million, depending on the type of degree you would have. And usually those types of jobs that are held by college graduates come with benefits such as medical coverage, which doesn't mean much to you guys now, but IRA contributions, much more likely to find those types of amenities with a college degree. So I would ask you, how do you react to that?
The point that you made, I actually seen it also growing up as well. And one thing that I noticed when I was shown the charts by my teachers as well is that a lot of times these this high income like ratio basically that you're expected to make is based off of the level of education. However, I noticed that when you're looking at your bachelor and master's degree, there's a major difference as you kind of make your way up. So a lot of the highest of the incomes are really for the people that have been in the highest level of schooling. So a lot of time these people are in school for more than the 4-year curriculum of college. And they're also leaving with a huge amount of debt as well. So on top of the fact that, and mostly for people that continue their schooling after the 4 years, those are kind of the people that are continuing to make the choice to continue on their college. And those are people that kind of already wanted to stay along that pathway as well. However, a lot of times the people that are achieving these high incomes, or the expected high income, those are people that are leaving with a huge amount of debt, as well as those are the people that really made the choice to stay in college as well. That makes sense.
All right. It's hard to argue as a member of the board with students having options and choices and different experiences so that you can make an informed choice. I mean, at the end of the day, the choice is yours. The responsibility, the accountability is yours to make an informed choice about what's best for you. All that we can do is lay out the options, which is noted. But I'm thinking that maybe you had mentioned in your presentation that at 18 years old, the brain isn't fully formed, which is scientifically true. And if that's the case, why not make, if you're capable and you're kind of leaning in that direction, why not make college the default? And the default choice. And if you find after a year that it's not for you, then maybe you could go on and do something else. If you find that, gosh, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I want to pursue a 4-year degree, then you have to do so. And if you go down that path, another thing you talked about, and rightly so, was the pressure of college and the debt, the whole debt issue. And one of the things I would ask that you can consider, or a question you may ask yourself, is at what point in your age does pressure go away? Pressure for success, pressure to make a payroll. It's when does that go away? And it's a rhetorical question because it never does. So maybe the issue that we should be talking about is, how do we deal with this pressure? How do we mitigate problems with mental health, which are realistic? They're considerable, particularly after the whole COVID thing. That's a big elephant in the room. So maybe we and you, rather than say, well, it's too much pressure, let's find a way to deal with that pressure.
Right.
I would also submit that the same thing is true of debt. Nobody wants to be in debt, but there are ways to mitigate debt. There are scholarships available, there's work study plans, there's any number of things you can do. And by the way, you're doing one of them to go to one of our finest schools at Potsdam. It's an in-state tuition. There are many benefits. So you're already doing the right thing. So I would just put that out there for your consideration.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for the recommendation.
You're welcome.
So as a member of the school board, and I like your idea of this program that would educate teachers and students, high school students, on various career paths. I'm interested in understanding what type of costs you think that this would incur and who would be responsible for that cost.
Okay, so the US roughly spends $666 billion annually on public education. And so there's a program around here, I'm not sure, or in New York, it's called BOCES. It stands for Board of Cooperative Educational Services, and it's a New York State legislature that was passed in 1949, I believe, and it provides educational programs and services within the state. So it's kind of like what we are trying to implement, but they mostly focus on certain career paths, such as like welding, carpentry, automotive, stuff like that. But they're more focused on learning how to do it and the aspects of that, which is good. But they're really focused on only a handful of different career paths. What we're proposing is hundreds of different career paths, but just learning about the careers, not actually doing them, but listening to people that are in the careers and stuff like that. So because our program is like BOCES in a way, we kind of compared the cost of what it would cost annually per school, and that would be roughly $250,000 to $300,000 annually. And obviously that depends on the size of the school.
Well, that seems like a doable cost
Yeah.
compared to the 600 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could swing 250 per school. But here's my other question. We do have in the state of New York, we have technical high schools where students can go and learn various trades, and they're not just limited to some of the more physical trades like carpentry or welding, right? There's other trades that students can pursue. And I guess my question to you all is, are we not already offering various pathways to success through our technical schools? And perhaps, our the non-technical high schools are the college prep high schools, and the goal there is to go to college. So I'm wondering, where we are not, where the gap is that we're not already offering various career paths.
So as in technical schools, could you reiterate, or what do you mean by technical schools or technological?
So, there are in some school districts, and perhaps part of your concern is that they're not offered enough, but in some school districts in grades 8 or 9, you can choose to leave your public high school, college prep high school, and attend a kind of a technical prep high school, where you not only also take the English and the math and history and all that fun stuff, but you get real apprenticeship and hands-on learning in various trades. And it's not just, the real physical ones, because some people, physical trades are not for them, right? But there's other things there. There's, data analysis, there's cosmetology, there's, various programs. So I guess my thought is, as a school board member, is that we have already kind of offered those types of schools for students who decide that college is not for them.
So for us, we are from a rural area, and that was not familiar with us. I just have a question for you. When you say these type of schools, is it like a public high school, or is there some sort of tuition that is added on?
No tuition.
No tuition?
They're public.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
they're absolutely free, just like your regular high school.
Would a student be able to, per se, transfer school district and jump in with that type of program, or is it something where you're offered it in your area or you're not?
Probably more the latter. And if you're in an area where they don't have a vocational or technical school, then yeah, maybe that's one of the gaps we're now seeing, right?
Yes, yeah. Understood.
Usually those schools are regional schools, the vocational technical high schools. They're not tied to one community. It would be,
right.
And folks from different townships would make up the student body. And it's very diverse, a lot of opportunities, not just carpentry or welding, as Maria
right
said.
But I think what the consultants are telling us is that there's areas where they're not available, even if you were to go regionally and take a drive or take a bus for.
And for example,
an hour.
Again, we are very our population is very limited. Our average income in our area is low compared to downstate. So again, we see a lot of students that are even forced to walk to school. So I don't think that an additional type of transportation could be an option for everybody. Whereas downstate, there is definitely more opportunities. So we will take into account that different sections of the states have different opportunities, and we will definitely do more research on that from here on out.
So to add on to what Macy said, that level of specialization in those technical schools, that's definitely appreciated when compared to the average education of a student in a public school. However, we're, like, as Macy was saying, we really want all to be able to access this kind of resource. A lot of students may not be able to do that, And, the average student taking a train to school or walking to school, and that's their only option. We want them to have the same level of resources. From K through 12, a lot of times most students spend their time learning competencies in, math, English, science, and things of that nature. And the goal really is just to also, add on these other competencies for future, success outside of college as well.
Do the members, Summer, I'm sorry, you have a question?
Yes. Well, in reference to, I think you all watched that movie, Good Will Hunting, Robin Williams. The student says, I don't need reading. And the teacher says, we need your reading because it increases our quality of life. So research shows that the social returns of education, college education, exceed private returns. And as I see, you didn't mention society among your stakeholders. You just listed school board, parents, students. So when considering wider community, society, would that change your point of view?
Well, in my personal opinion, I don't think that really changes the view, because one thing that a lot of people don't recognize is that like society is really shaped by a lot of small factors that many people don't notice. Like much of society is probably at some point they all went to school, and it's like when your teachers, parents, and your school is pushing a certain narrative, and this is a narrative that has been going on for generations, really. And so it's like basically growing up, the average student who becomes a member in society as well, and the average teacher growing up with these ideals, they're really passing it on over and over again. So really, the society is almost shaped also by the key stakeholders of the parents, the students, because these are students as well as the school board also.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, parents comprise society, but there may be others
Right.
as well.
We just
Who
focused
might
on,
be influential in shaping those expectations.
right. Yeah, we just focused on 3 that we thought that had that played a big role in as students are in high school. And we realized, yeah, once they graduate high school, they become more part of society. We would say they contribute more, getting jobs. But if every student that graduated high school, if they were to say go into college, we think about how many jobs would be left empty because of students. If they were all to go to college, there would be nobody to kind of fill their spots or fill their gaps in society. So we do realize the impact that this could have on society for sure.
Thank you.
Tom, did you have any other questions as a school board member?
I have a comment, and I like the fact that you're interested in presenting alternatives. That's a really good thing. And I also agree that we need people who can program my computer, who can fix the wiring in the house, who can do the data analysis. And you don't have to go to 4 years of college to do that. I'm just concerned that you might be selling yourself short. That, yeah, there are some pressures, certainly there are economic challenges with tuition, but I believe that if you're qualified and if you think you might be able to do it, and because, as you said, the brain is not fully developed, then maybe the first choice, maybe the default would be, let's go and try college. And we can check that box if it doesn't work out. Then we can go and look at some other alternatives. But I wouldn't, I'm just concerned, I guess, that because you're promoting options, which is a good thing, you don't look close enough at what many people would consider the best option from strictly a financial standpoint.
Absolutely. We, as members, have taken surveys throughout some of our school members as well. And we have stated that, as we've said, the pressure is to go to college right out of high school. And say you do attend college for a year, but again, it's financially not the best decision. It's not something you're interested in, but now you're already stuck. And now there's a stigma if you're a college dropout, you could be seen as a failure. And roughly based off the percentage we have interviewed, even after the effects of COVID, roughly 30% had thoughts and different ideas, but they felt the pressure that they were to stay in college. Otherwise, they could be viewed as lazy, failure, unmotivated. So a lot of kids are found that they are pursuing a college degree that they're not even interested in.
I would say, Macy, let's not, and I don't mean you personally, but it's easy to play the victim here. Just because you came up short in the first year of college doesn't mean you can't be successful.
For sure.
What it means, I think, is that I've tried one path. It wasn't a good fit for me. I know I'm a talented person. I know there are other, as you said, other options out there. Then, let's get off our butts and let's try them. Don't consider yourself a failure, because anybody who does that certainly isn't, as long as they move on to plan B.
Correct.
Right. And I would also like to just throw out there, as a fact that somewhat relates with the not the dropout rate, but just the decision of students that come. There was a Harvard study of students that graduate high school and go into college, and over 85% of those students between undergrad, 85% of them switch their college major or they drop out. So we just, you guys understand our point of the option, that we present, that the options are just endless in a way, and that college can be somewhat pressured. You know what I'm thinking.
And just the stigma of college as a whole can deteriorate some young adults. Again, we know that in our area, there's not, the range of demographics isn't ginormous, but we know that each type of person from each background, like you said, nobody's a failure. You make your own path to life. And we just are trying to steer away from need a college. Success is within all, not based off a diploma. From BOCES, from high school, from college.
I think, it's the internet's a bit glitchy. Can you all still hear us?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
It's fine.
Okay. So I think what we're gonna do now, in the interest of time, we'll get out of our school board roles and you all can get out of your consultant roles. And we're going to give you just feedback on your presentation. And Tom, do you want to go ahead and go first and then Summer?
Yeah, certainly. Well, I would say that Tanner and Macy and Zion, I was impressed with how well you did. And maybe most impressed with your ability to handle the technology glitch that we had. You were thrown a curveball even before we began, and your recovery and the composure you had, I think, was really noteworthy. So congratulations on that.
Thank you
Also,
so much.
yeah, I like the fact that you pushed back against the whole concept of one size fits all in education, because it just doesn't. And you offered some viable alternatives, which I think are really important. One that really struck me, though, was you mentioned something about the ability to explore other jobs. And particularly in the kind of I guess the rural area where you guys live, maybe if there was some way to connect with the local contractor, the local technical company, something that maybe in the summertime or over breaks, you could get exposed to something different, something that's not mainstream academic, something that you don't incur, that you aren't exposed to Monday through Friday. I think that was an excellent idea. And if somehow someone in your community could put that together, it would really be great. I also liked your response to Maria's question when she asked you straight up, how much is this going to cost? And you were able to not only answer her, you gave her a number, but it paled in comparison to the bigger number. So we're all sitting here as board members and saying, well, why can't we do this? This makes a lot of sense. So I would say, well done in spite of the difficulties you had early on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which were not your fault, by the way.
Okay, and I'm also impressed by your crisis management skills, which might be earned during higher education, considering all the stress you are faced with and you have overcome. Yes, it was a good presentation, despite of the technical difficulties we encountered, but it happens. And it's the first, one of the first sessions of the day. In time, we'll get more experience with that. And yes, the overall presentation was good. You answered using some information based on your investigations, so you did well with regard to that. My point would be, as you might have understood from my question, you can emphasize more on societal effects, particularly higher education boosting collective productivity. So not focusing on individual returns, but focus also on societal returns. And when you stick with the word success, I think it creates some problems, because success measured by degrees, etc., occupation, earnings, but how about other benefits, such as social capital? It is more important than verbal or quantitative abilities obtained during college education. So it gives you a precious network, which opens the way to other means.
Yep.
And success, can we replace it with happiness, good citizenship? Because higher education graduates are found to volunteer more for unpaid work compared to others. So it makes you good citizens as well. And their attitudes towards civil liberties, minorities change positively. So how about such benefits? So you may mention them more. But still, if you want to insist on not everyone needs higher education, then you may mention about the bell curve representing variety of jobs. So
Okay.
there are opportunities for higher education graduates as well as high school graduates. So society needs diversity with regard to education as well. So you may emphasize that.
Okay. Thank
But
you.
overall, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
So can I just ask each of you just to let us know what level you're in college and what your major is? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now I'm a senior. This is my last semester and I'm a business major.
Again, I'm Macy. I have one more semester left and I am also a business major.
Yes, Zion. I'm a business major as well. I'm also a senior.
Okay, great. No, that's really, it's just interesting to me. So I think you guys did a really, really great job. I third the excellent skills under crisis management, under a crisis situation. That is really, really challenging. I actually was, I was interviewing for a role within our group some time ago, and we had some technical glitches, and one of the candidates just stayed absolutely composed, smooth, just like the three of you. And then the other one started freaking out and stuff. And it really made a difference to us when we were assessing what, how that person would do in our company, because, in the real world, when you're working in a company, if that's the path you choose, there will be lots of crisis moments when you have got to just stay calm and figure things out. So excellent. That's really great how you guys handled that. I think you chose a really interesting topic. I think you chose a big topic. Okay, because there's a lot of other things that go into this. I mean, Samra talked about the societal part of it. I think that, one of the challenges you're going to have is that, just by offering other careers, that's not necessarily going to change the overall society expectation of college, right? So if you go and you go on Indeed.com and you're looking for a job, there are jobs for really pretty basic data entry paying, less than $20 an hour that say bachelor's required. So, you know what I mean? So that pressure, it's not something like it's really big, right? And so I think that it's hard to kind of tackle that with one solution to a board of education, right? But I think I really commend you on choosing a topic that's really important to society, and especially to young people who you're trying to figure out your paths in life. I think for your 10-minute, because part of why we're giving you feedback is to help you tomorrow when you do your 10 minutes. So for your 10 minutes, you're just going to be focused on the ethical issues. I would definitely bring a lot of Semra's comments, and I see that you're taking notes, so that's wonderful. But bring some of Semra's comments in on, and when you talk about the ethical issues in the 10 minutes, you don't need to just talk about the bad ethical parts of what your problem is, right? You can talk about there are also good benefits to college education from an ethical perspective. But I think that point about, we as a society need a variety of people who can do a variety of things. And we need to change that stigma that because you're a contractor, you're not as good or successful as the person with the college degree, right? Because honestly, where I live, I can't find a contractor to save my life, and they can charge whatever they want, and they're all, you know, they all have boats and summer houses, and I know a lot of recent college grads that don't have any of that. So I think that that concept of like, what is success, I think is an important thing to talk about. And then the ethics of, you know, the societal ethics, I think to bring that in as well. But I think you've touched on the mental health concerns, the impact of having high debt, which is a whole nother issue and solution that you could you could save for another presentation. But yeah, overall, I think that you guys did a really, really great job. I think my only feedback, and you know, I know you're not going to be doing another IBAC because you're all graduating, so you're not going to be doing another 30-minute presentation. But my only feedback on that would be to really isolate the ethical, financial, and if there were legal concerns, we didn't really touch on any type of legal concerns, but you know, to kind of isolate those a little bit more, and in the way that you presented things. When you all get out into the workforce, which I assume you all are going to do with your business degrees, you know, one of the things I learned really quickly is when you're going to someone more senior than you to give some type of presentation, or if you're giving a presentation to try and convince someone about your arguments, you really think about how you're organizing that. And, you know, bottom line up front, give your argument first, and then elaborate on it as you go further. So my feedback for the three of you, but I think you guys did a wonderful job. Good luck tomorrow. And really good luck to the three of you as you move out into the workforce. And I hope that you do value your college degrees.
Yes.
Forward. It's kind of interesting how you're sitting here saying not everyone needs college, and we're all successful almost graduates. So congrats on your own personal journeys. Semra and Tom, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
Well,
No, thoroughly enjoyed
very-
it. Best wishes to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we will definitely take your feedback into consideration. And again, we are very thankful.
And
All
my
right.
last sentence will be, without higher education, you still have dignity, self-respect, and contribute to community.
Yes.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, you should write that down, because that's a really great, that's an awesome statement.
I'll write it down.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, do the three of you have any last minute questions for us before we wrap up?
I do have one question. Just very quickly, if you guys could inform us on what you guys doing or have done in the business community, or what your careers are, just very briefly, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
sure. Yeah, sure. So I'll start. So I went to college. I have a bachelor's of science in molecular biology. So what are you doing in ethics? That is a interesting story that we won't take the time to give you now, but I ended up starting in the ethics and compliance field by working for a organization that created training programs for ethics and compliance officers. So I was exposed to ethics and compliance, and ethics and compliance in an actual company is a little bit different than maybe some of the ethics courses that you've taken in school. It's really what we're focusing on. We're less focusing on like the big decisions our companies make and whether they're ethical or not. And we're more focused on the internal behavior of our employees. That I'm segued from working for the basically like you could almost call it like a training organization. And through a couple steps, I ended up going internally, and that's what I do now. So I do ethics and compliance within a company. I sit within the legal function, although I'm not a lawyer, which I never wanted to be a lawyer. But that is, that's what I do. And I would say probably the bulk of my time is spent on internal investigations into employee misconduct, as well as communications and training around our our own company code of conduct. And if any of the three of you are interested in learning more about that career path, I am more than happy to have an online conversation with you about my experiences with that. But that's who I am.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you.
So much.
And me? Okay. I am an academician. My first degree is from Bosporus University in Istanbul on management. Wonderful 4 years by Bosporus. And then my first job was central bank, balance of payments. But then with the birth of my first child, I gave a break and then decided to have an MBA instead. After 7 years, I started MBA, and then I was in my proposed assistantship, and then continued with PhD in sociology, dissertation on values, ethics. So I was teaching while I was a student, a PhD student.
That's interesting.
After finishing PhD, I had a wonderful opportunity sponsored by a classmate from Bosporus University, who is one of the most wealthiest women in Turkey with holdings. So I had a second master's on quality management at Loyola New Orleans. And I had Fulbright scholarship, spent 2 semesters at Western Kentucky University, wonderful 2 semesters, because for conferences I visited West East Coast cities, and I said, let me go to a smaller city in the middle to learn more about American culture, and it was wonderful. And then I got a fellowship from British Ministry of Trade, spent a semester at Nottingham University studying on corporate social responsibility. And I was an assessor in Turkish and European Quality Award schemes. Now I'm an assessor for Higher Education Council. We are assessing universities with regard to quality management. And quality management is now, it includes more ethics, CSR, good governance. So all those issues helped me a lot. And I was teaching business ethics, corporate governance, and social responsibility, and self-assessment for quality management courses, in addition to psychology for freshmen. And I'm also an ethics expert for European Council. We assess project proposals with regard to different perspectives on ethics, AI ethics, GDPR, etc. So now I'm retired. My volunteer works, ethics expert for European Commission, assessor chef for Higher Education Council continues, and I'm about to finish a paper on AI ethics.
Very nice. Interesting.
Thank you.
Wow, how can I follow up with that? Holy cow. Maria. My background is not really as exciting, believe me. I went to college at Marist College. I have a BA in history. Because my dad was a sheet metal mechanic, he worked a trade, he was a very bright guy. I had no tuition bills to pay. He paid it all based on his performance as a sheet metal worker. I have a B, so my B, I have an MBA. I went into the Marine Corps for 4 years and got involved in the business community, did that for 25 years, retired from that, and became a middle school teacher and did that for a number of years and recently retired. And now, to Summer's point, now that I'm able to, I work with, as a mentor with children in foster homes here locally. And I also, with my son, coach a baseball team for children who have physical and mental challenges. They have their own little league, and that's how I spend my time because I'm
That's
able to.
amazing. That's
amazing.
amazing.
Well,
That's awesome.
congratulations to all of you on your accomplishments, and we appreciate you spending time with us today.
You know, this exercise, and I think you had such a that was a great question just to ask us to share a little bit about our paths. I think the thing that really sticks out in my mind is that, you know, not all the decisions you make at 18, you know, end up where you are at the end, right? Like some people take that path, right? They go, you know, they're very STEM focused. They take computer science in college, maybe go to grad school for computer science, and they work in computer science for 30, 40 years, and then they retire, right? And it's a very linear path. But I would say the majority of people, that's not how their lives go. They bounce around and opportunities come up, right? And I think that maybe one of the things, going back to your presentation, I think that that's you know, one of the things that we need to be teaching high school students is, you know, life is big and life is long, and you've only lived your 16, 17, 18 years, but hopefully you'll have many, many more years to come, and you can change. You can, you know, Semra went back to get multiple advanced degrees, you know, at various points in her life, right? So I think that that's also kind of, and you touch on that a little bit when you talk about the gap year, but maybe expand on the gap year even more to say, you know, yeah, a 1 year gap year is a great idea, just to give you kind of that mental break from, you know, your 12 years of education you've had so far before you possibly went to more. But I think, you know, the idea of being able to try out different careers and different things in your life is also very, very important. I never wanted a JD, but I don't have a problem with lawyers. But my stepmother went back to get her JD when she was 55 years old. It was always a dream of hers. She went and did it. She finished law school. She passed the California bar, which is a hard bar to pass. And now she's an estate lawyer and she loves it. So anybody can change and do things, you know, further on in their lives. So, but anyway, great discussion. And thank you, judges. Thank you to SUNY. You guys were awesome. Best of luck in the future. And judges, do you have the link in order to fill out the form that you need to fill out?
Where would that be?
Let me grab it really quickly. It's on the IBEC page.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I'll find it.
I'm pretty sure, but if not, I'll send it to the two of you.
Okay.
Thank you again for this
I have
opportunity.
it. Where is it?
And Tom sent you guys an email as well yesterday, I think, that has that link. Yeah, so if you could do that by the end of today, tomorrow morning at the latest, that would be great.
Certainly. Yep, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right,
Shall
great.
we discuss after the team says goodbye?
Oh, we can do that if you'd like.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
that would
We'll
be
leave
good.
right now then.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you
thanks,
again.
team. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Unless if you could turn the recording off, that would be great too.
Mhm.